Hello, welcome to the Daily Purposeful Movement Challenge, or Yoga with Kim. We're gonna have a yoga class. So let's get started in Child's Pose. I'm gonna try to incorporate a couple of yoga blocks, so if you have them, grab them. If not, you can grab some milk jugs, but you can do this class without it. So Child's Pose is we're gonna draw our big toes together, knees apart, abs pulled in. We're gonna drop those sit bones back, bringing your forehead towards the mat, and just place your hands wherever's comfortable for you. Close your eyes and just remembering to breathe. So yoga, traditional breath is in through the nose and out through the nose. So eyes are closed. I'm gonna lift up so you can hear me. We're gonna take just a breath in, feeling the lungs expand, and then letting that breath out again through the nose. And then beginning to breathe in, expanding your lungs, dropping your shoulder blades down, shoulders away from your ears, and then letting the breath out. So breathing on your own, I will try to cue occasionally breath in and breath out. We're gonna walk your hands forward as far forward as comfortable for you. Separate your hands, so starfish hands, and then once again, pulling your shoulder blades down your spine. So giving a stretch across the upper back. This is a resting pose, so feel free to come here whenever you like. We're gonna draw your abdominals in, so pull that belly button towards your spine. We're gonna tuck your toes under and lift up to downward facing dog. So just releasing your heels, ears between your shoulders, shoulder blades pulled back, eyes are open, and we're taking a look at your thighs, and then take a look at your hands, and then bring your ears between your shoulders. We're gonna come up with the balls of both feet, maybe the back of your toes, and just releasing just your right heel, stretching out that fascia into the Achilles and the calf muscles, and the back of the toes, and now we're just releasing just the left heel. Pulling your left knee to really feel that stretch, challenging but not forcing. Coming on the back of both toes, now releasing both heels towards the mat. Easing into pull your knees back, just challenge that stretch a bit more. And then we're gonna come forward into plank. Shoulders stacked over your wrists, elbows are bent, looking forward. Don't lock those elbows. Abs pulled in, pressing back to downward facing dog. And then forward to plank. From here, we're gonna come down to our knees and walk those hands back so you're in that tabletop crawling position. We're gonna pull your belly button in, round and flex your spine for cat. And then let your belly go. Roll your shoulders, lift your tailbone and your heart center, look up towards the ceiling for cow. Exhale back into cat, draw those abdominals in, opening up those discs. Back into cow. So moving that pelvis. Back into cat, once more, and then back into cow, and then finding that neutral tabletop, and then we're gonna lift right arm, left leg off the mat, reaching fingertips in opposite direction for spinal balance. Eyes are following where your right hand is reaching. We're gonna come back down to tabletop, switching sides. So left arm, right leg reaching in opposite directions. That standing arm, which is your right arm, that elbow is slightly bent. Don't lock your joint. Pull your abs in. Try to keep your shoulders and your pelvis level. Coming back down to tabletop. Inhale, right arm, left leg. Now we're gonna add a crunch. We're gonna bring your right elbow and left knee in towards the center. Pull your chin under, round and flex your spine like we were in that cat pose. Back to spinal balance. And back to tabletop. Left arm, right leg, reaching opposite directions. Here's a crunch, left elbow, right knee, pull your belly in. You wanna round and flex your spine like a cat. Back to spinal balance, reach, 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 and back down. We're gonna walk those hands forward. Now draw your shoulders over your wrists, elbows are bent. Tuck those toes under, bring your knees off the mat. So find that plank pose to reposition if you need to. We're gonna hold here for 5. Remembering to breathe for 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna lift up to downward facing dog. So releasing your heels, pulling your shoulder blades back. We're gonna come forward to plank, shifting forward, and then slowly leading with your nose, coming to chaturanga through to cobra. Now pause here for a moment. So elbows are squeezing to your sides. You're pressing where your shoelaces would be if you're wearing shoes. So press, press, press. You're gonna feel those upper thighs come off the mat, shoulder blades pulled back, lifting maybe one more. inch off the mat so you feel it your low back. We're gonna tuck your toes under, lift up to downward facing dog. So forward to plank, pause, shifting forward. Here's your chaturanga. Squeeze your elbows in through to cobra, and then back to downward facing dog. We're gonna step that right foot back, so draw those right toes towards the back wall, maybe the ceiling, but releasing your left heel. We're gonna draw the right knee in towards your nose, and then step it through for lower lunge. Keep your hands on the mat. So press that left leg back. You're really extending your left leg, shoulders pulled back. Feel free to come to your knee if this is too much for you. And then we're gonna press back to downward facing dog. Forward to plank, shifting forward. Here's your chaturanga. Through to cobra, and then back to downward facing dog. Releasing those heels, we're gonna step that left foot back, putting those toes towards the back wall, maybe towards the ceiling. But tendency is we tend to shift forward. So really focusing on releasing your right heel towards the mat, pull your right knee back to feel the extension through that leg. Then we're gonna bring the left knee in towards your nose, pause for a moment, step that left foot forward for lower lunge. So both sets of toes are facing the same direction. Feel free to come to that right knee. Roll your shoulders back and press that right leg back, really to extend through that hip. Then we're gonna step back to downward facing dog, forward to plank, shifting forward. Here's your chaturanga. Squeeze your elbows in, use your triceps through to cobra, and back to downward facing dog. We're gonna step that right foot back for three-legged dog, and then we're gonna step that right foot forward and hold for lower lunge. So pausing for a moment, find that lunge, and then we're gonna slowly, you can walk those hands to that right thigh or sweep those arms up. So I'm gonna show you. So this is high lunge. You can bring those hands to that right thigh, pause for a moment, and then draw the shoulders over your hips. Press your left leg back, so really extension through that hip. Feel free to come to your knee, that's a level one option, and then bring those hands up. So ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. If you need to, come down to that left knee. So we're not lurched forward. You wanna feel that groin stretch. Now, hopefully you're barefoot. Turn that right knee out slightly so you can see that first big toe and maybe the second toe. That's using all of your quads. We're holding, we're not rushing through this. Then we're gonna slowly bring those hands down at either side of the right foot and step back to downward facing dog. You can choose to stay here. We're gonna meet you here or come forward to plank. Here's a strength series through to chaturanga, cobra, and back to downward facing dog, remembering to breathe. Meeting as downward facing dog as promised, we're gonna step that left foot back. Where is your right knee? Pull your right knee back. Extending across the left knee to those left toes. Now, we're gonna slowly step the left foot forward, pausing in lower lunge here. So both sets of toes are facing forward. Extend that right leg back. You can choose to sweep those arms up to the ceiling or bring your left hands to that left thigh, then bring your shoulders over your hip, ears over shoulders, and then reach up. So again, you want nice long lines versus kind of rounded forward because you're not gonna get the groin stretch. You're not gonna stretch out that iliopsoas muscle. So whatever you need, okay, feel free to come to the knee. You're still gonna get the stretch because your shoulders are back over your hips. Don't rush it. Take time, feel it. And then we're gonna slowly bring your hands to the other side of your left foot and then step back to downward facing dog. We're gonna come forward to plank together, holding for 3, 2, 1, shift forward. Here's your chaturanga, through to cobra, and back to downward facing dog. So we're gonna step that right foot back for three-legged dog. And then we're gonna step the right foot forward for lower lunge. We were just here. Now, if you've got blocks, grab your blocks. Grab your milk jugs, whatever you got. Turn them so they're the highest they can be. Now, if you don't have a block, I'm gonna teach it for both ways. So this time I'm gonna teach it for the block for a moment. So you got your hands on the highest part of the blocks, and then we're gonna take the weight to the right foot and step your left foot back. The block gives you height, so you really straighten your right leg. Okay, if you don't have a block, try to come onto your fingertips and try to get that extension through that right hamstring. If you don't have it, just do your best. Now, I'm gonna use the blocks, teach it with the blocks. So, hands are on the blocks, left leg is reached out behind you. So your right leg is rooted, left leg behind you. Now take your right hand, which is the opposite of the left leg, and reach it forward. If you don't have blocks, this is the balance, you're gonna try to bring your right hand and reach it forward. But if you start to bend that right knee, bring that hand down to keep it on the mat. So you're gonna bring your hands and feet back to the mat, move your blocks, and step back to downward facing dog. You can choose to stay here. We're gonna come forward to strict series. Shifting forward, use your chaturanga, through to cobra, and back to downward facing dog. Okay, other side. So left foot back. Really feeling the stretch though through the right leg, which is rooting towards the ground. Then step your left foot forward for lower lunge. You grab your blocks. Tall. Ready? And now we're gonna bring the right foot off. So you're gonna extend the left leg. Left leg is long, as is the right. So you're really feeling that hamstring stretch. Try to keep your hips keep your parallel, because it's easy to kind of rock and roll to your left hip where you're rotating. Then we're gonna bring your left hand off. So the right leg is reaching behind you, left hand forward. So it's like a spinal balance, but it's standing spinal balance. Hands, if you don't have a block or a milk carton or whatever you're gonna use, and reaching your left hand means you're bending your left knee, it's better to keep your hands on the mat to really feel that hamstring stretch. Now, move your blocks, we're gonna come back, make your way back to downward facing dog. We're gonna come forward to plank. We're gonna hold for 3, 2, and then we're gonna come down to your knees, big toes together, and back into child's pose. So we're gonna build on next time to that standing spinal balance, but we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna tuck those toes in or come back over to downward facing dog. We're gonna step your left foot back, 3-legged dog, then bring your left foot forward for lower lunge. Make your way to high lunge, however you need to modify, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn that right foot 45 degrees, maybe 90, where you're really rooting the outside of that foot, and then turn your torso so your shoulders are over your hips, arms are long, left knee is tracking towards that second toe, so look down, be able to see that left big toe, and arms are parallel off the ground. Palms are facing down to start. Pull your shoulders down away from your ears. Now pull that right knee back. You're really rooting through that right outer foot, maybe the right little toe, it's good for something. You're gonna feel it through the right hamstring, right quads. Pull your abs in. So kind of rock and rolling, bring your shoulders over your hips. Your gaze is over your left hand. Ready? When you're ready, we're gonna turn so both palms are facing up. Now bring your fingertips together so your hand is flat. We're gonna reach forward with your left hand. When reach, we're gonna flip it. Take your left hand to the ceiling and bring your right hand behind your right leg. Pull the right knee back. Left knee is still turned out. You're gonna really feel it through your quads here. Stretching your left side of your body for reverse warrior. We're gonna bring your hands in, cartwheel hands on either side of your left foot, turn and pivot that right foot so both sets of toes are facing forward. Place your right hand right inside your foot so it's nice and snug, and then we're gonna take it to a twist. So twisting through your torso, both sets of toes are still facing forward, remembering to breathe. Look up at your left hand, pull your abs in. We're slowly gonna bring your left hand back to the mat. So reset and step back to downward facing dog. You can choose to stay here, we're gonna come forward to plank. You can choose to stay here, we're gonna add on, you ready? Halfway down, feel free to come to your knees, press back to plank, then shift forward. Here's your chaturanga. Squeeze through to cobra, and back to downward facing dog. We're gonna step that left foot back. So releasing your right heel towards the mat, reaching across that left hip, breathing. Now take a look forward at your hands. We're gonna step your left foot through, and then turn that right foot. Nope, I just did this side. Ha ha. So you ready? We're gonna step back to downward facing dog. Step your right foot back. There you go. Right foot is back for 3-legged dog. Bring your right foot forward, and now turn that left foot. So if you know me, my rights and lefts mixed up is pretty common. It's not an aging thing, I promise. Okay, really rooting the outside of that foot. Then we're gonna bring up. So the right knee is in a 90-degree angle. Turn your torso so your shoulders are over your hips. Now, as you do so, tendency for that right knee to turn inward, turn it out. Float your arms, long arms. Palms are facing down. Your arms are parallel off the mat. Pull your left knee back. Pull and tuck your tailbone under. So not sticking your booty out. Come on, try to imagine your shoulders over your hips. Kind of play with that. And when you're ready, palms are facing out. Your gaze is over your right hand. Now look down, take your eyes and look down. Do you see your right big toe? If not, turn that knee out slightly. Use all 4 quad muscles, we'll do that. Tendencies for that knee to kind of knock inward because your vastus medialis isn't working as hard as it needs to be. So turn it out. Now, we're gonna reach forward, reach. You're gonna flip it, take your right hand to the ceiling and bring your left hand behind that left leg. Now, try not to straighten your right leg. If you need to, that's your break. That's a level 1 option. Staying in a lunge works it harder. You're giving your right side of your body a good stretch. Eyes are looking at your right hand. And then we're gonna slowly cartwheel those hands either side of your right foot and turn so those left toes are pointed forward. Now bring your left hand inside the right foot and take it to that twist. If you need to come to your left knee, feel free. Look at your right hand, is it reaching to the ceiling? If you're off the knee, press that left foot back to really extend through that hip. You're twisting through your torso. And then we're gonna come out of the twist, make your way back to lower lunge and step back to downward facing dog. From here, we're gonna step, we're gonna come forward to plank. We're gonna choose to stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to downward facing dog, so just a little bit of core. We're gonna come forward to plank. Now we're gonna lead with your right hand. We're gonna walk down to bent double plank. So right elbow, forearm down, followed by left. You're in a bent double plank position, pull your shoulder blades back and draw your big toes together. Now press your feet back. Scoop your abs in. You're not looking at your hands, but you're looking forward. We're gonna hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna walk those feet hip level apart. Bring your right hand into your shoulder, followed by left, and walk up to tall plank. Come back to downward facing dog. From here, we're gonna bend your knees, take a look towards your hands, and we're gonna jump your feet forward. And then inhale, circle sweep up. And we're gonna come into mountain. So second resting pose, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, tailbone is tucked under. We're standing nice and tall while being well rooted. Now from here, we're gonna shift the weight onto your left foot. We're gonna come to balancing. If you know balance is challenging for you, feel free to grab the back of a chair to have close by or a wall. But you're gonna soften the knee, meaning you're not gonna lock it of the left foot and then bring the right knee up. So just take a moment to kind of, pardon me, is to kind of reestablish, re-level yourself, rebalance. Use your arms to counterbalance if you need. And then option is to stay here, slowly bring your arms up overhead. Reach your fingertips to the ceiling, but pull your shoulders down. Now, you can choose to stay here. We're gonna step that right foot forward, press that foot. We're gonna hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna change direction. So now we're gonna press your right foot behind you, hinging through your hips. We're gonna come into a warrior 3 position, and then we're gonna point your toes. Pull that left knee back. Using your core here, working on your balance, so important as we age. We've got 5 to go. If you bobble out, join me. Come back and join us. I'm gonna bobble out right there. 4 to go because I count really slow. 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna slowly come back to starting position. So if you need to, come down to mountain. Others restart back. That balance, I'm gonna bobble. Really challenging that left ankle and left foot. 5 to go. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and come back into mountain. So we're gonna switch sides, respecting the differences from right to left. So ready, we're gonna shift the weight onto your right foot. Belly pulled in, we're gonna bring that left foot off the mat, 90 degrees. Take a moment to kind of reestablish yourself, being really present and in the moment. You can choose to stay here, arms overhead. Reach your fingertips to the ceiling, pull your shoulder blades down. Choose to stay here, keep the left foot forward. So we've got 5 to go. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're gonna hinge your hips, kick your left foot back, reach your fingertips forward. Trying to keep your pelvis square so we're not rolling onto that right hip. And point your left toes for warrior 3. If you bobble, just join us. Don't worry about it. I think I'm gonna bobble. Breathing. 3 to go. 2 and 1. We're gonna come back to that starting position. If you need to bring your left foot to the mat, feel free. Changing direction is challenging for the balance. 5 here, 4, 3, 2 and 1. We're gonna come back to mountain. So from mountain, okay, feet are hip level apart. Inhale, circle sweep. We're gonna come to airplanes. We're gonna stretch out those hamstrings. We're gonna hinge halfway, head slightly above your heart. Reach out to your neighbors, shoulder blades pulled back, and pull your left knee back. So you're hinging through those hips. Core is engaged, back is long, spine is relatively straight. You're keeping those natural curves though. You're really feeling the hamstring stretch the back of your legs. Then we're gonna come all the way down for forward fold, pausing for a moment. Place your hands on the mat. We're gonna step back and walk back to downward facing dog, as many steps as you need. Then we're gonna kick your right foot back. And we're gonna bring the right knee towards the right wrist so your right leg comes across your mat. Okay? So knee, right wrist, right knee. Now walk that left leg back. So you're gonna shift your pelvis back, keeping that right foot flexed, meaning we're not pointing your toes. That gives better tracking for your patella tendon. Now, we're here high, we're gonna come down, we're gonna anchor it. Come down to left elbow, forearm, followed by your right. So we're gonna feel that stretch of that right hip, right glute. That's your piriformis. If you got some sciatica, this is the pose. You can do it seated, standing on your back. This is pigeon pose. This is the pose that most of my patients need to be doing. Well, let's be honest, all of them should be doing it, but that's where they're coming in with low back, right here. Because your pelvis is often twisted and rotated because we like to sit with our legs crossed, feet crossed, don't stand straight, have wallets or phones in our back pockets. Okay, I'll stop lecturing you. So here's pigeon. Kind of trying to keep that left hip nice and forward. You can rock and roll a little bit from right to left to feel that aha moment. If this is your side that needs extra love, you're gonna stay here. Otherwise, you're gonna place your hands under your shoulders, tuck your left toes under, and kick back to downward facing dog, giving that right leg a bit of a shake. And then we're gonna step your left foot back, left knee, left wrist, left leg comes across your mat, and walk the right leg back. Okay, keeping that left foot flat or flex, so we're not pointing your toes like a ballerina. And then we're gonna come down to right elbow, forearm. First, that kind of locks your pelvis, followed by your left. Then you can come all the way to the mat. You can stack your fists. Really feeling the stretch of that left glute, hip, buttock, butt, whatever you call it. But this is the great pose for your piriformis. And your piriformis is a deep extensor muscle that runs along your sacrum, AKA your butt crack, and then attaches, it's called insertion, onto your femoral head, which is your true hip. A lot of people come and say, my hip hurts, and they point to their back. I'm like, usually that's your SI joint, maybe your sacrum. But your hip is this ball and socket joint that they'll replace. Older people who fall and break a hip, that's usually in the femoral head. So anyway, so your piriformis attaches there, and it's responsible for extending your leg back and rotating, which is why you want to keep your pelvis nice and square. So when you're ready, we're going to tuck your toes under. Enough lecture, you don't need to hear me. You're going to bring your hands up, kick back to downward facing dog, giving that left leg a good stretch, good kick out. And then we're going to come down to our knees, big toes together, and sit back to child's pose. So giving those quads a bit of a stretch. And slowly coming down, trying to drop your bum, butt, cheek, glutes, whatever you call it, down towards those heels and bring your foot to the mat. Hands resting wherever's comfortable for you, because we're just going to take a moment here as we finish our yoga class to breathe in and breathe out. Breath is centered to life. So in this moment, giving yourself gratitude for finding the time to give your body the gift of movement. Motion is lotion for those joints. And when you stop moving is when your body starts to rot. It's not very yoga-like, but it's true. Movement is life. Thank you for participating in the 20+ minute yoga with class with Kim. We're aging well together. Have a great day.